Welcome to Pumpin Python. My name is Jacob Itegboje, and this is part 4 of a program that calculates the difference between a given wake and sleep time. Time to write some code. I will open up a terminal here. I want to test the duration function with timestamps that have dates. I will select random timestamp, make a copy of it. Then enter 3 times after the closing parentheses, paste. Change the name of this one to random timestamp underscore A. After the opening parentheses here, enter add quotes 1999/12/31 and a space. I will come down to test duration with hours and minutes, select every line of it, make a copy. Then enter twice, backspace all the way to the end, paste. Change the name of this one to be test duration with date underscore and underscore time. Then change the calls from random timestamp to be calls to random timestamp underscore A here for wake time, and in the loop underscore A. I get a value error, invalid literal for int with base 10, 1999, 1231, 23. The test calls the duration function, which calls the read timestamp function, and that uses the int constructor after splitting a string to convert it to a number. So I am getting a date with hours, and this is not the right format to convert from a string to a number. I'll copy this value here to see if I can make this error happen again. Go back to test duration with date and time, enter tab, add at unit test.skip. Then go up to test converting strings to numbers. Enter twice after the last line. Add int parentheses. Paste the string I copied. And I get a value error, invalid literal for int with base 10, same as I did in test duration with date and time. To handle this, enter then tab twice with self.assert raises parentheses, a colon at the end. Add value error in the parentheses. And move the line below to the right. I'll go back down to test duration with date and time. Now that that test is passing, remove the unit test with skip decorator, remove the empty line. I get back my value error, and since I cannot use the int constructor, I am going to change this call from duration to be a call to duration underscore A. I get an attribute error. Module sleep duration has no attribute duration A. Did you mean duration? No. I will select the duration function. Make a copy. And then enter 3 times below it, backspace, paste. Then change the name of the copy to duration. Change the name of the copy to duration underscore A. This way I keep a working solution while I try out a new one. Come down here to else, select everything after I change that to return none. I still have a value error as before, but this time it is because something calls the get difference method. That is the expectation in the test. I will change this, put it in parentheses, say wake underscore time, comma, sleep underscore time, which gives me an assertion error. None is not equal to the timestamps. Duration A returns none. I will change it to match. Parentheses, wake underscore time, comma, sleep underscore time. And the test passes. I want something that can read a date and a time from a string, so I will open a browser, go to docs.python.org to open up Python's documentation. Enter to go to the address, then do a quick search for date and time. Enter to search. And the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 results are all from the datetime module. So I will select that. The datetime module supplies classes for manipulating dates and times. While date and time arithmetic is supported, the focus of the implementation is on efficient attribute extraction for output formatting and manipulation. This looks like the solution for me. It does dates and times and it does arithmetic. I like it. Available types: .date, year, month, and day, .time, hour, minute, second, microsecond, and tzinfo. .date time, year, month, day, hour, minute, second, microsecond, and tzinfo. A combination of a date and a time. Okay, this looks like the one. Datetime objects, examples of usage datetime. From datetime, import datetime, date, time zone, using datetime.combine. This takes a date, a time, combines it to make a datetime object. No.now gives a datetime object. Now with timezone.utc gives a datetime object with tzinfo. Datetime.strptime, this takes in two strings. One is a timestamp, a date, hours and minutes, and what looks like a representation of the timestamp. Okay, I will try this. It looks like what I'm doing. Make a copy, come back here to the test, right above test duration with date and time, enter twice, up tab, def test underscore date time underscore objects, parentheses, self, a colon at the end. Enter at the end of the colon, add self.assert equal parentheses. Enter in the parentheses, paste. Put a comma after, enter, and add quotes as the expectation. I get a name error. Name date time is not defined. Did you forget to import date time? I'll go to the top to the import statements, enter, up again, import date time. Which gives me an attribute error. Module datetime has no attribute strp time. Huh. Okay, I'll go to the documentation to see what I did wrong. My import statement is different. This one says from datetime, import datetime. I just did import datetime. So I will add the module name to the call, datetime dot. And I get an assertion error. Datetime.datetime with these values is not equal to the empty quotes. I will make a copy of it from the terminal, come here and paste it to change the empty string. And the test passes. Do a bit of cleanup here. Enter, backspace, and enter here, enter, backspace. The strp time method takes in two strings, one a timestamp, the second one a representation, and gives me a datetime object with the same values. So the capital M here is minutes, the capital H is hours, small y is the year, small m the month, and small d the day. If I change 06 here to 21 and change 21 to 06, I get an assertion error. The datetime objects are no longer the same. The one on the left has 2021 for the year instead of 2006 and has 6 for the day instead of 21. If I change the pattern, so make the D a Y and the Y a D, the test passes. What if I change the 06 to 4 digits? So 2006. I get a value error. Time data does not match format. So the Y does not do 4 digits. What if I change it to a capital Y? The test passes. I'm going to use the strp time method in test duration with date and time. Come down here to the expectation, enter to the left of wake time, enter to the left of sleep time, enter to the left of the closing parentheses, and backspace. To the left of wake time, say date time dot date time dot strp time parentheses around wake time. Enter to the left, enter to the right, backspace, put a comma here, add quotes, percent capital Y, slash percent small m, slash percent small d, space percent capital H, colon percent capital M. I'll bring this down so it's all on one line. Do the same thing with sleep time. Date time dot strp time parentheses around sleep time. Enter to the left of sleep time, enter to the right, backspace, put a comma after, enter, then quotes, percent capital Y, slash percent small m, slash percent small d, space percent capital H, colon percent capital M. I have an assertion error here. The duration A function returns the timestamps as strings, and the test now expects them as datetime objects. So I will make the same change. Enter here, enter here, enter backspace. Then datetime dot strp time parentheses around wake time. Enter to the left, enter to the right, backspace, put a comma after wake time, quotes, percent capital Y, slash percent small m, slash percent small d, space percent capital H, colon percent capital M. I have a name error. Name date time is not defined. Did you forget to import date time? You know I did. I will go to the top, enter 3 times, then back at the top, import date time. And come back down to finish up with sleep time. Date time dot strp time parentheses around sleep time. Enter to the left, enter to the right, backspace. A comma after sleep time, add quotes, percent capital Y, slash percent small m, slash percent small d, space percent capital H, colon percent capital M. And the test passes. I just called the strp time method 5 times in a row with the exact same pattern, so I will make a function to remove some of the repetition. Select these 3 lines here, click the light bulb, and extract method. Change the name to get underscore date time. Enter to accept it. The test is still green, so I'll make the same change with wake time. Get underscore date time, parentheses, around wake time. Remove the rest of the line. And the tests are still passing. I will change this input argument from sleep time to be more descriptive. Call it timestamp. Enter to accept. Then select these 2 lines, shift tab to move them to the left. And then select get date time, move it to right above duration A, enter after to add more space. I want to test for the get date time function, so I will change test date time objects. Change the name first, remove the objects, call it test get underscore date time. And since get date time returns the strp time method, I could change this to just say sleep underscore duration dot get underscore date time. Remove the pattern. And the test is green again. And since this is just calling the strp time method, I could change the expectation to strp time. That way I will not have to change the expectation when I change the call. .strp time. Select the numbers here, put them in quotes, and a slash between 2006 and 11, slash between 11 and 21. Remove this comma, put a colon between 16 and 30. At the end of the line, put a comma, enter, add quotes, percent capital Y, slash percent small m, slash percent small d, space percent capital H, colon percent capital M. The tests are still green. I will add a variable here, say timestamp. Add an equal sign, quotes, 2006 slash 11 slash 21 space 16 colon 30. Then change this value here to timestamp. Still green. What happens when I change this to be a call to random underscore timestamp underscore a parentheses? I get an assertion error. The datetime objects are not the same. The one on the left has random values for its hours and minutes, so every time I save, the values change. All right. If I change this value here to timestamp, the test passes. I can use sleep duration.get date time to replace the calls to strp time here. To sleep underscore duration dot get underscore date time. Remove the pattern. The test is green again, and I'll do the same thing here. Sleep underscore duration dot get underscore date time. Remove the pattern. And the test is green again. The documentation said I could do arithmetic with datetime objects, so I will remove this comma here, backspace, put a minus, a space, space to line it up. And I get an assertion error. Duration A returns the timestamps as datetime objects, but the test now expects a datetime.time delta with a value for seconds. And the values change because things are random. I will change the return statement here to match. Remove the comma, backspace, a minus, space to the left. And the test passes. I want my result as a string, not as a time delta, so I will change the expectation here, add the string constructor str. And I get an assertion error. Datetime.time delta with a value for seconds 1620 is not equal to 0:27:00. And if I divide 1620 by 60, I get 27. So this is hours, minutes, and seconds. All right, I will add the string constructor to the return statement here, str. And the test passes. This means I can remove the duration function because duration A is a better solution. And I can also remove read timestamp because no one calls it anymore. I have an attribute error. Module sleep duration has no attribute duration. Did you mean duration A? No, I will change duration A to be duration. Enter to accept the change. And I have a value error. Time data 2151 does not match format year, month, day, hours, and minutes. This is for test duration with hours and minutes, which does not use dates in its timestamps. I will go back to that test, select all the lines, then hit delete to remove it because it is now covered by test duration with date and time. Then select get difference and remove this as well because no one calls it anymore. I will go up here, select test the modular operation, test floor aka integer division, test converting strings to numbers, and test string splitting. Delete them because they do not test the solution directly. All tests are still passing. I will remove random timestamp. No one calls this anymore. Then change the name of random timestamp A to be random timestamp. Enter to accept the name. This function returns the same date every time it is called. I want it to return random dates instead. So I'll make this an F string, curly braces around the 1999, then add random.randint, parentheses around the 1999, 0, comma, change the 1 to a 9 so that I'm picking from 10,000 years. And after the parentheses, colon, 04 for 4 digits. 2 quotes after the slash here, enter. 2 quotes after the other slash, enter. Make this an F string as well. Curly braces around the 3-1. To the left of it, random.rand int parentheses around the number, then 1 comma 31. So the range is 1 up to and including 31. Then colon 02 for the number of digits. And then for the month, F curly braces around the 12, random.rand int parentheses around the 12, 1 comma 12 for the range, colon 02 for the number of digits. The problem with this random timestamp is I can have dates like February 31, which is not a good date. And that is going to cause a problem at some point. I will test this out. Enter here, say return quotes 1999 slash 02 slash 31 space 16 colon 30. I get a value error. Date is out of range. And this is because something calls the strp time method. So it's because of get date time. To fix this, I'm going to add an exception handler that will check the date generated by this function to make sure that it is a good date. And if it is a bad date, it will just call the function again to get another random timestamp. Remove this line. Then change this to be called get underscore random timestamp. Come down to the closing parentheses, enter 3 times def random underscore timestamp parentheses, a colon at the end. Enter after the colon, add result. Equal sign would be it will be the result of calling get random underscore timestamp parentheses. Enter after that, add try colon. Enter, then call sleep underscore duration dot get underscore date time parentheses. In the parentheses, add result. Enter at the end of the line, backspace, except value error colon. Enter, return random underscore timestamp parentheses. Enter else colon. Enter return result. This function will first call get random timestamp to get a random timestamp, assign it to the result variable, then check by calling get datetime, which calls the strp time method, to see if that is a good timestamp. If it is, it will return the timestamp. If it is not, it will encounter a value error and return itself. So it will start the process all over, get a random timestamp, check if it is good. If it is, return it. Otherwise, repeat the process. That should make sure that I always have a good timestamp. I will hit save a few times to make sure that there are no random value errors anymore. All right, green so far. And for fun, well, I called random.randint 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and the digits, the 2 appears here 4 times in the function. I could create a function. I could make a function here that removes the repetition, even though it will add more lines, but why not? 1, 2, 3, and then def, call this random underscore number, parentheses, a colon at the end. enter return. Come here to random timestamp, copy one of these lines and paste it after the return statement. I will remove the slash here because it is different in the other ones. I don't want to deal with it. Then for the 4, put it in curly braces, say digits. For the 9999, change that to end. And the 0, change that to start. In the parentheses, add start. Comma end. Comma digits. Time to test it. Make a copy of this line, paste the copy below, comment out the first one. Then change this call to be random underscore number 0, 9999, comma, remove the closing parentheses, the colon, the 0, put a parentheses after the 4. And the test is still green. I will remove the commented line. This means I can make the same change to the remaining 4. To do that at once, I will hold down the command key or control if you're using a Windows computer and click on each line where I want the cursor to appear. That gives me 4 cursors. So I can change this to call random underscore number 1, comma, the number, comma, after that, remove the closing parentheses, remove the colon, remove the 0, and closing parentheses after the 2. Hit escape to go back to one cursor, and the tests are still passing. I have 2 here repeated 4 times. I could remove that by adding a default value for digits. Equal sign 2. Come back down here to get random timestamp and make 4 cursors again. Command or control, click 1, 2, 3, remove the 2, remove the comma, hit escape. And the tests are still passing. Lovely. I'll come down here to test duration with date and time, change the name to be just test duration. And all is well that ends well. The challenge was to write a program that calculates the difference between a given wake and sleep time. I ran the following tests to get something that does it. I test string splitting, test converting strings to numbers, test floor aka integer division, test the modulo operation, test duration with hours, test duration calculation, test duration with an earlier wake than sleep time, test duration with hours and minutes, test datetime objects where I use Python's online documentation, got the strp time method, which I use to change a timestamp string to a datetime object. I test get datetime for the get datetime function and test duration with date and time where I used random.randint and an exception handler to make timestamps with random dates and times that I interpolated as strings for wake time and sleep time. I used a while statement to make sure that when wake time is earlier than sleep time, the duration function raises a value error with a message and returns the right difference between the two when wake time is later than or the same as sleep time. I also encountered the following exceptions: assertion error, type error, name error, attribute error, and value error. Would you like to write the solution without looking at test sleep duration.py? I will see you in the next one.